everyone, and welcome back to another video today. This video is going to be stepping back into the Ogham calendar and exploring the Ogham tree of August, which is the hazel tree. I'm currently stood amongst lots of hazel trees in this woodland, and today I wanted us to walk through how to identify a hazel tree, explore the folklore and their culinary uses, as well as how this tree has been used for centuries. So let's get into it. So I'm currently stood amongst a grove of hazel trees, and these are all hazel trees that have been really well looked after, and this is a well managed woodland. And the reason we know that is because the trees are coppiced. So hazel is a tree that is ideal for coppicing. It likes to grow from multiple stem points, and its wood is great for making different things, so people can make fences from this, or it's actually the really sort of narrow younger shoots are very good for actually basket weaving and stuff. So every 7 to 10 years this tree can be coppiced, and basically it means that the tree actually becomes infinitely resourceful, so you can get multiple sort of harvests from it, use its wood for years and years and years to come, rather than just chopping it down completely once and then never getting any regrowth from it. So hazel is a pretty small tree, and it is a tree that you're going to find deep within woodlands, but also in sort of hedgerows and stuff. Another great thing about coppicing, which we've just explored, is that continually coppicing a tree and not allowing it to get so big and huge that it kind of creates this vast canopy above the forest floor. It allows room for sunlight to break through, and that means that plants such as bluebells and primroses and different wildflowers are able to, it creates life on the forest floor essentially for those different plants and stuff to come through. So I am someone who used to get the hazel tree confused with trees like lime, because when they're not in fruit, or they're not, the hazel isn't producing its nuts, I feel like the leaf structure and shape can look very, very similar. So here are a few tips to make sure that you are definitely looking at a hazel tree rather than a lime tree or something similar. So if we take a leaf, so the leaf itself will always have a very distinguished tip on it, which is a very good identifier for the hazel. It also characteristically has sort of a heart-shaped base to it, so you can see here it's coming out a bit like a heart. Another identifier is this nice sort of jagged edges to the leaf, and because of that heart-like base there, if we folded the leaf down the centre, it's pretty much symmetrical. And that is very different to a tree like lime, whereby if you were to fold that down the centre, it's actually asymmetrical. The leaves on a hazel tree will also grow in an alternate pattern. So what that means is that rather than the leaves growing next to each other or opposite each other on the branch, they're going to grow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so sort of in an alternate pattern. Now, we've all heard of Nutella, right? We know that hazelnuts go into things like Nutella. It's just often paired with chocolate, right? And it's delicious. So we all know that hazel trees grow hazelnuts. And although we're not quite at the mark yet whereby these trees will be producing nuts that are ripe, or at least I haven't been able to find any today, there are plenty on the forest floor from last year. And albeit these might just be sort of the empty husks, you can see here what the nuts look like. So they're kind of, I'm going to try and find a ripe one for us today, or a young one for us to look at today together, but they tend to have like sort of a little hat on them, like an acorn would. How you know the nut is ready to eat is that outer husk is going to start to discolour and darken, eventually sort of peel away to reveal the nut, so that it's ready to be eaten effectively. As you can imagine, these are a really great food source for birds and squirrels, predominantly squirrels I think, so they tend to get there before us humans do, and they actually eat them when they're a little bit underripe, so it does sometimes mean that a tree might be stripped and you might feel that you've missed the mark when actually the animals have just got in there first because they like them a little bit less ripe than we do. So something else that's forageable from the hazel tree that isn't the hazelnuts that we all know and love is the catkins that come out in January and February. So you may remember from my earlier vlogs in the year, I went to Sissinghurst Castle and Gardens, and there are loads of hazel trees that surround the lake there. And yeah, they were all lovely long yellow coloured catkins. And catkins are quite high in proteins. They've kind of got a bit of a reputation for that on social media this year, and you saw lots of people foraging them and They're not necessarily a protein replacement, but they kind of can be used to supplement protein if you're someone who doesn't eat animal meats and wanted to get a little bit of an extra intake in a different way. So, there is a lovely old Irish folklore tale related to the hazel tree, which I'm going to share with you as I'm sat beneath this huge coppiced hazel tree here. So, the story goes that there were 9 hazel trees that grew around this really beautiful old well, and it's said that these hazel trees held all the wisdom and knowledge that had to be held in the world. And all of this knowledge and wisdom was stored in their acorns. And what happened was, all of the acorns, as they fell, they would fall into the well. And there was this salmon who lived in the well, and he would gobble up all of the hazelnuts as they fell in. And it was said that if you were to eat the salmon, you would be the keeper of all knowledge. And I'm sure there's probably a story out there whereby someone came to try and catch the salmon and eat the salmon, and whether they were succeeded or not, who knows. But it was believed, as you can imagine, off the back of that sort of folklore tale and story, that hazel trees were filled with wisdom. So poets and scholars, they used to carry around hazel wands with them, believing that the wood would give them sort of inspiration to draw from and wisdom to draw from as they went about their day-to-day lives, and whether that was writing a poem, creating something, or they hoped to find some wisdom and seek some guidance, I suppose. This wonderful tree was deemed very sacred and very special.